Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday, December 2nd meeting of the City of Frederick Active Mobility Advisory Committee. So happy to have everyone here. We're going to jump right into the membership updates. And I would like to welcome our three new members, Glenn Ferguson, Shelley Shoppert, and Carmen Ambaruso. I hope I'm saying that right. And I know that Bree has some certificates to hand out and a couple words to say. Gabrielle, for the record.
That one? Okay. Excellent. Excellent. I'm Gabrielle. I'm the director of the planning department. Nice to meet you and welcome. On behalf of the mayor's office and our department, Brandon Mark is our division manager of community planning and urban design, and David, your friendly staff person for all your AMAC needs. Do want to thank you for volunteering and stepping up for this very important role. Citizen activism is so important in our community, and to have people engaged and interested is always something so admirable to me. It's a lot of work, but it's also hopefully a large reward being able to participate. So on behalf of the mayor's office, we do want to thank you, and we have lovely certificates fit for, I want to make sure I get them to the right people. I'm so sorry. Carmen, Shelley, Carmen. I knew I would get them. Shelley, nice to meet you. Here we go. That one is for you, Glenn. Perfect. Like I said, on behalf of the mayor's office, our department, and the entire city of Frederick, we really do appreciate your participation and hope you really enjoy being on the AMAC. So thank you so much for being here.
In addition to welcoming our new members, do we have any additional membership updates to share?
Yes. The agenda for the city council meeting on Thursday is out, and I am on it for a planning commission role. If the council votes in favor of that on Thursday, I will be resigning from AMAC effective Friday. It's been a great run and ride. And I look forward to seeing what this committee keeps doing over the next couple of years. So,
John, thank you very much for your service and in anticipation of your future appointment. Best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you on the roads, or maybe even here as a private citizen.
as a private citizen, I can do that. So, thank
Excellent.
you.
Moving on to approval of the November minutes. I did notice there were a couple of quotes that were attributed to unnamed members, David. Was it possible to identify those members, or was that sort of due to the lack of a recording?
Unfortunately, yeah, the recording was so quiet, and since we couldn't use our mics, it was just too soft to
Gotcha.
be able to identify who said what.
Understood. Did anyone else have any corrections or comments, amendments to make to the minutes before we move to approve? That was the only thing that I noticed. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Oh, motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Jake. Do we have a second? Thanks, Carolyn. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Moving on to staff review.
Sure, just a moment. Do you mind passing that down to Carolyn? All right, so, crash report. So first of all, to those of you who don't know me, my name is David Edmondson. I do have a bit of a stutter, as you just noticed, but it's not that I'm nervous. It's just a thing that happens. But that's what's happening. The way that we do crash reports is we get the full-on thing from the police, and then I take that and I turn it into something that's a bit more manageable and legible, and that's what we have here. If you've had a chance to look over that, we can go through it. And if you have any questions about any of these, now would be when to speak it.
We'll usually just take a couple minutes to review the narratives, and if any questions come up, then we'll review them together.
I would like to say that I tried to study this before I came here today, and that the accident diagram seems to make a lot more sense than anything else. I can't really remember which way the street goes, north, south, or whatever. So when I see the picture and the person, and I've never really noticed the tiny people in it before, and so I think it makes a lot more sense to me than the narrative or the description.
Okay. What would you like to see changed?
Well, what I want to see changed can't be done, I guess. I was talking to Carmen at the start. You know, unfortunately, my friends now know I'm on this committee. So they come up to me and complain. And they say, why can't this be done now? Now's the problem. So what I have people asking me all the time is, I've identified this dangerous spot, either to walk or to turn. Why could there not be something that would be not costing an arm and a leg and require a whole interview and tens of thousands of dollars in planning? They're looking for a few signs. They're looking for a different change of paint. They're looking for a couple of those orange cones that warn you or prevent you from turning somewhere. And I'm thinking particularly of down at East Church Street and where the post office thing is that Alan mentioned, that I was down there driving it. And what I found is I have to pull my truck, it's a pretty big truck, I have to pull my truck out onto the crosswalk to see past the buildings before I can pull out. So it would be easy to not go that far out and miss someone and make their life perilous. So I guess my question would be, is it impossible to have some simple mechanisms to raise alert in that area? Just paint, a sign, an orange cone, something. This is what they asked me, and I see their point.
I trust that our engineering staff has done a really good job of being thorough on this. Oftentimes, when it comes to roadway design, there are issues that are not easily apparent. Oftentimes, it's like a change to a whole system, and so you tweak one thing here, and then another thing that you don't think is going to change, and so that's why it needs to be taken really slowly. At the start of the question, you were interested in the crash diagrams, and I'm curious if there were any changes to the crash narrative that would be helpful on that as well.
Arrows would be a help.
Okay.
I don't know necessarily which person was going where
Okay.
or how they were turning. So a few arrows would help me visualize it better.
Okay. Cool.
I also wonder if you could just snip the accident diagram, screenshot it and put it next to the Google Earth that you overlay.
Sure.
I agree that that's a very compelling part of the crash report, but the other, the text probably conveys
Sure.
effectively what happened there.
Sure. I can do.
So I'll just add that when people have concerns about things like that, we have a link on our website to report traffic concerns and complaints. So it's like right on the, you go to the front page of the website, on the right-hand side, it says, I want to, and you click on it, it's a drop-down menu. And I think it says report traffic safety concerns, traffic complaints, safety concerns. Right, so I would encourage you to share that with folks. That information goes directly to our engineering department. It may be something they're already working on, it may be something they're not aware of. And so I would just encourage you to send people to that, to let their concerns be heard and addressed.
And no request is too small. Like, it really is helpful, because we can't know everything. And so having people actually say, hey, this isn't working right, is a sign that there needs to be something, or there may need to be another look at what decisions went into that, because there may be a part of that system that got changed and we just didn't know.
I have a question about the third crash. There are no crosswalk. There's a crosswalk a few minutes, like, I guess it's north, or it's up Prospect Boulevard, closer to like the stores and stuff. There are no crosswalks in the residential area. So what is expected of a pedestrian if they need to get across the street? Because I see in the police report that, or I guess it says it right here too, that the pedestrians found at fault. So I don't see what is expected of them. If the road is clear, can they not cross? Like, why is it still, why would they still be at fault?
At an unmarked crosswalk, which it looks like this person, so this kid, I believe that he was not directly at the corner, so he wasn't in that space either. But at an unmarked crosswalk, it is safe to cross, like you're supposed to, but you're supposed to yield right of way. So if he had crossed a little bit closer to the intersection, then that would have been fine. But it looks like he was about one car length away from it, and so therefore he was crossing outside of the unmarked crosswalk.
This is semantic-y. How do we define an unmarked crosswalk? Is an unmarked crosswalk a place where there should be striping or there was striping, and wear and tear on the roads has eroded it, or is it a vertex of two roads at which crossing is likely to occur?
State law defines it. And I can't do it verbatim.
I think it's public street intersections, whether they're marked or not.
So the intersections, whether they're, I guess, when they're not marked, because then it would be a marked crosswalk. Okay, thank you.
But not like just mid-block, because the street's clear, you feel like you can cross, you can, but it's at your own peril, so.
Thank you.
I guess the gray area there is one car length further over because there wasn't a marked line, and that felt close enough to a 13-year-old, is kind of hard to define. But
Yeah, there's, I think that there is the difference between, I think that keeping things clear as far as what is legal or not, and so therefore whose fault it is or not, that's important, but also to keep in mind the ideas of, if that still feels off, then that would be something to flag as something that might want to be, that you might want to seek a change to. But how exactly, I don't know.
I had a question on the second one, which is the 7th Street and Fairview intersection. The driver indicated that they could not see because of glare. What relationship does high visibility crosswalks or consistent crosswalk striping help or alleviate that concern? I just wonder, does this happen in the same instance if this has, striping across the entire crosswalk like some of the other intersections we've done improvements on, or is it is it more likely to happen because their eyes are averted below, or are they just thinking about the intersection more because they see the striping?
And just press the bottom. Now it's on.
Hello, everyone. This is I'm Shraddha. I work at the engineering department. I'm a traffic engineer. Been here 4.5-ish years. Sorry, could you repeat your question? Now I've forgotten because
Does the striping of the crosswalks change the likelihood of an accident if the drivers indicated that glare was the concern?
Gotcha. There aren't studies for it. Typically, high-intensity crosswalks, the piano key style, are more useful when you have your headlights falling on it because it reflects a lot more. Other than that, there is almost the same amount of awareness, I would say, because there are supplemental signs that are usually present if it's not a stop sign or a signal. One thing to note is that typically the decision of where we put high-intensity crosswalks is very location-specific. These are we try to not put them everywhere because then they kind of lose the importance. And these are typically used in downtown, anywhere that you assume there's going to be high pedestrian activity. So downtown, shared use paths, school zones, those are the three major ones. And then there might be sometimes site-specific that we might do it.
Great answer, thank you.
I would just I'm confused by if you put them in more places, they lose their importance. I don't think that's true because it's the contrast of colors that gets people's attention.
You as a driver are just more used to seeing them everywhere, so you tend to neglect them. That's all. It's not the
wouldn't it be
not the reflectivity of it.
Right? Wouldn't it be the contrast of a pedestrian against the crosswalk? Right. So if you're in a car, you might not notice the crosswalks as much, but like if it's just two lines, but if you notice the difference in paint from the road and the crosswalk and you see something changing that difference, you're more likely to visualize, you see something rather than just going through it.
Yeah, I would think that's more true for nighttime raining conditions. I don't know if it would be as true for regular daytime when everything's visible. I think if they're not present everywhere, when you are driving, you're like, oh, I've hit a school zone, I should be more careful about pedestrians. That's about all that it would do, other than its regular refractivity during nighttime and rainy conditions.
Have you read the Bloomberg report? There's a research paper about painted crosswalks, and they found on average it's 17% safer with painted crosswalks than with just zebra stripes or lines.
Well, what's a painted crosswalk?
Like fully painted. Painted in, like filled
like
in.
Art painted
Yeah.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is more controversial. That I'll not go into it right now, just because they are technically not legal crosswalks, or they still have to be. There still has to be the two white lines. That's what designates us as a crosswalk. So that one's still not recognized. So I don't know too much about it right now. It's still in the controversy stage.
I think it's important to remember, too, that these traffic markings and all of this stuff is regulated very heavily by federal, yeah. So we can only do so much pushing the envelope.
Do the regulations include specifications and standards on how often and where the zebra striping is used? So that's a kind of a local decision?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And state level, it comes down to budgeting. Local, not so much. It's still dependent on where we would want it more highlighted than other areas.
We'll save public comments to the end. Thank you. Any other questions on the crash report? All right, moving on to project review.
Thank you very much. We do have someone from engineering here, so that will be helpful. We have, for planning, we have a few updates. So let's move Frederick. I am hoping to get edits for that done by the end of the week. There's some heart surgery essentially that's going into it to make sure that everything works well. In the process, I'm finding that my writing has changed and improved in the last few years, and so therefore, I'm making sure that things flow slightly better too. But the heart surgery and changing things so that way the original document reads more as a technical appendix than as a plan is taking a little bit longer than expected because changing some of the wording in one place ends up changing wordings in a bunch of different other places. And so it's tricky. East Street Rails with Trails Phase 3 Bridge. So we are negotiating with the vendor right now to get that project awarded. They had some contract issues. This would be going for 100% design of this bridge. I'm going to go back to the map so you have a clear sense about where we are. East Frederick Rising will be submitting a letter of support and helping us to get the extension on the building funds, which will be expiring in September. 7th Street, protected bike lane. So we have chosen a vendor for the contract for 100% design on that, and we are awaiting their cost proposal. We were hoping to get that last week, but the holiday meant that a lot of their folks were out of town, so we are waiting until tomorrow. Rock Creek Trail widening. So they've gotten started on that. And that design will be going for the next 9 months. It's a feasibility study. So basically, if you've ever been on the Rock Creek Trail, you'll know that it is narrow and steep, and there are goat paths and desire lines and places where there should be some paving and there isn't, and figuring out how to get it to be something that is a useful shared use path is going to be difficult. So having a feasibility study will let us sort of slow walk this and get a sense about what does the community want, how can we do something that is a net and positive to the local ecology as well as neighbors, and how can we do something that is in budget and not simply on the place where we built it back in the 80s, I think it was, 70s, 80s. Golden Mile redesign.
Sorry, David, quickly
Yes.
on the feasibility study, there's mention of a January 10th walking workshop. Is there
Oh,
detailed
yes.
information about that available?
There will be a January 10th walking workshop. We haven't fleshed out any of the details just yet, but we will be doing that really quite soon.
Okay.
And I will be sure to let you all know about that.
Open to the public?
Yes.
Great.
Golden Mile redesign. we are actually having some progress on there. So we've received the memorandum of understanding for the $380,000 earmark from Congress to look at how to redesign the Patrick and US 15 interchange. And we are negotiating those terms. Once we do get there, of course, procurement, as you may know, can last up to a year. We'll hope to get this started faster than that, since they awarded this to us in 2022. Hopefully we'll be able to move it forward. Internally, we are working on the Golden Mile Small Area Plan. We've done some internal workshops on that to sort of get what's the collective wisdom of our staff in all of our, well, because we do all kinds of things from stormwater to lighting. Once we're at a good place where we have a sense of like what that all is, then we're going to meet and figure out what exactly we can do to improve this corridor in terms of its north-south connectivity, which was the original use for the $500,000 that our city council has provided to this project. No updates on the North Market bikeway.
Hey, David, sorry, I have a
Yes.
question on North Market.
Sure.
I don't think I've ever noticed that the southern segment goes all the way to 7th. Is the intent there to replace the one direction bike lane on Market between 7th and 9th, thank you, with the two directional on the opposite side of the street? Or is it?
That's the sort of first draft.
That's the
thinking.
first draft, thank you. Okay.
It's a
Great.
it's a first draft. I'd say like it's the crayon thought, but of course detailed study is necessary. That's why we have our planning funds, so that way we know how to do this well. This will be managed by Shraddha's office. So
Oh, I actually just remembered something that's sounds like
Yeah.
it overlaps a good bit, but we're also doing a study of Market Modern 7th and 9th, that square, to look at how it actually operates and if there is a need for improvement or a need for change of any of the one-way, two-way segments that there are. It's on the back burner since it's an internal project going on, so it may take a while, but I think we did some traffic data collection and we're slowly working through it.
Thank you.
The park trails, also no updates there, and East Street redesign, that is on the shelf at the moment, simply because of we don't have the staff to advance it. Right now, we will, just not right now. All right.
Question.
Engineering, oh, yes.
Oh, it's a question, or do we have somewhere, and probably most helpful to the newer members, but do we have somewhere sort of a synopsis of all of these projects that we could sort of like bring everybody up to speed? Because, I mean, we all know what the 7th Street or whatever, so I think it would be really beneficial to have, I don't know, just a few page document that has all of the cool things that we are working on and sort of maybe update folks. I feel like that's together somewhere.
The website? The AMAC page?
It's scattered, and I am trying to get it all together. A part of the issue is that the projects are in 2 to 3 different offices at different times, and they're all moving. So gathering everything into one place, stuff might get out of date pretty quickly. But I think that would be an excellent idea for January to given that we will indeed be doing the priorities letter workshop, and also the planning for the next 3 years for the AMAC, that would be a good chance to really like take a step back and take an inventory of all of this stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm envisioning is not something that would really need a lot of like technical updating, but just sort of like a description of, hey, we're working on this connection for 7th Street. We're hoping it's going to run to, just to give a concept idea of
Scroll to the next
each of the
page.
things.
I
Okay.
think this may be similar to what you're looking for, like a couple sentences for each project.
Yeah, I mean, I know we used to have, like, there used to be more of that in here, and it's been sort of trimmed back, because I know we're trying to, but yes, I just sort of, an overview for everybody to sort of be brought up to speed on all the cool projects. Thanks.
Yeah, I know last month, or 2 months ago, when we were here, we were working through the whole thing, at least on engineering side, and I know we were trying to copy the way planning has it, so maybe we can both work and just update it, that way it's there with the minutes.
And I think it'd also be useful, not just for our new members, but for the incoming council, to have some concept of everything that's being worked on.
I think your mic is off again.
Oh,
Sorry. Hey,
just
now
leave
it's
it on.
on. Right.
Okay.
Oh.
Shraddha, please go ahead.
Thank you. There's a whole list of engineering projects that we had gone through 2 months ago. There aren't any major changes, any major updates. There are a few projects that are currently under review at their various 60 and 90% stages. And it's just the holiday week month that it will get prolonged a little bit. But Golden Mile multimodal access plan project, East Street Rails with Trails, 2 phases, I think, phase 2 and phase 4 are under review. The Willowdale Drive traffic calming with the mini roundabouts, Modern and 13th with the eggabout, they're all under review. And they're hopefully, we're gonna wrap it up soon. The design is almost done for at least the traffic calming projects. Golden Mile is gonna take another 6 to 8 months to wrap up. So yeah, there are no major updates on any of them. It's pretty similar in design to what we had seen before. It's just trying to make sure all the signs, all the stormwater, everything else is in place. The only sort of significant update that we have in terms of traffic calming, you all may have seen hopefully that we got Rosemont Avenue short-term traffic calming project out. We really wanted to get that installed before winter hit. So it's gonna be a good experiment to also see how our snowplow drivers are going to do with all the flex posts that are now in their way. And hopefully it'll be a successful experiment and we could get it installed in other places as a very short-term, quick safety improvement in different intersections. In terms of, we have been receiving feedback from it, some good, some bad, but hopefully it's all a knee-jerk reaction and it'll slowly, people's traffic pattern changes to have it slower and safer on Rosemont Avenue. Apart from that, for the long-term Rosemont Avenue traffic calming project, that's still underway. The consultants are still working on how, what are the different options that they can present. So that's still on their plate. In terms of our Vision Zero, I know there is a policy component to the Safe Streets for All action plan, also the Vision Zero plan. We had over the past month or so discussed about what are the policy changes that we want to look at that recommendations can be provided on by the consultant, which planning or engineering departments would further take on to get it to an actual implementable recommendation. Of that, I think AMAC had brought up parking lot design standards that we had discussed and passed it on to the consultant so that they can work on giving us what private lot recommendations might be, which could potentially be enforced through our lane management code whenever it comes to that, because currently we don't have anything that regulates it. Other than that, there are policies that are being reviewed for the rectangular rapid flashing beacons for pedestrian crosswalks, roundabout first policy, which essentially means that any time a major development comes in and they're asked to look at an intersection to perform improvements, they will be considering roundabouts as well, as whether it's an always stop, it's a traffic signal or a roundabout. Roundabouts will be given serious consideration. So our consultant is looking at different cities and states that have incorporated this roundabout first policy, and they will give us recommendations, which staff and city council hopefully can work together to bring it into policy if that seems feasible to the council. Other than that, there's some there are some recommendations that are being worked on for automated enforcement, which has also come up in the past a lot about whether they're speeding, red light running, any of those automated ticket cameras. And so that's something that they're working on. They're probably going to have some good conversations with the police department and see what works best and how the recommendations can be developed such that once city adopts that, okay, we'll fund cameras for something, then we have a way to prioritize. That's really what the consultant is working on. Other than that, they're working on, and this I'm blanking out a little bit, but it was about mobility challenges for people with disabilities. And I think they were looking at, do you remember this?
Yes.
Thank you.
So basically, so those who are blind or who are deafblind have special trouble in terms of walking around our city. That can be intersections especially, but also roundabouts are tricky because of the soundscape and because the people who are blind, they navigate through a soundscape, and a roundabout has a very ambiguous kind of a soundscape, and so crossing is difficult. With somebody who is also deaf, their service animal needs to be able to really understand what's going on, and that is also tricky. Roundabouts are also tricky for another reason, which is the crosswalk is usually offset from the straight path, and so ensuring that that's obvious, that can be done, and there are standards and regulations around that, but just understanding what those are and how we can apply them is really important. And then how do we do that without, so basically how do we provide high quality accessibility for people that are in this group without impinging on the things that make a roundabout work well. That is difficult, but it's doable. This is also the case in places like mid-block crossings, uncontrolled crossings, even outside of a roundabout. So that's what this piece is.
Thank you.
Sean, I had one quick question getting back to the Rosemont improvements and the flex posts. The new smaller scale street sweeper does that have the capability of a snowplow attachment to sort of more easily navigate around those flex posts? Do you know?
I think it can. I know from the initial design that we have reduced a lot of flex posts based on the feedback that we received. So I think at this point they can.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much. Moving on to our discussion topics. First, Mr. Mayor, do you have any time constraints for being here this evening? Specifically, is your any shows you need to watch? Okay. All right. I just wanted to know in case we needed to make any changes to the agenda. Thank you. Moving on to our discussion topics, sidewalk bicycle riding.
Thank you. I'm just going to pull up that presentation. Nope. Think. Nope. It's the top one. Display setting. Ah, okay. There we go. All right. Thank you. So, we're going to start off with what are the rules of sidewalk riding. Basically, within the red boundary here, don't ride on any city property, which specifically means real estate or parking lots or parking garages or ramps or sidewalks or paved paths or bridges, unless you are 10 or younger, unless you are a city employee doing a job. So like, I don't know, something. Or if you are in the Carroll Creek Linear Park or Baker Park. Now, yes.
This might be what you're about to say, but there's a question of there's the connection part between Baker Park and Carroll Creek, and I frequently will ride my bike on the sidewalk to get from Carroll Creek to Baker Park. Is that also not allowed? Do you know?
I found nothing.
I don't think it's a sidewalk. That's a whole shared use path.
It's a very narrow sidewalk between.
It's 4 feet.
I mean, often I have to walk my bike through the road to get around pedestrians.
You mean right?
Yeah,
here,
it's
right?
Carroll Creek Park ends, and then you want to get to the shared use path in Baker Park. You have to just, it's a very narrow sidewalk, yeah.
Yes, you do have to walk your bike there. So that said,
I will try to stop doing that.
So this can be adjusted by any motion or regulations passed by the Board of Aldermen, according to the code still. But so we can grant exceptions that way. So there are some Carroll Creek exceptions. So you can ride a bike, but only a bike. You can't ride a skateboard or a scooter or any other kind of non-motorized vehicle.
Didn't we
Does that
have
include
this
e-bikes?
conversation, but come up with the other? Because I was arguing that the sign said no skateboarding. Like,
According to the code, as of last week, the code still says that it can't be.
The code is horribly outdated and needs revisions. Good luck, new council.
Well, where is all of this, like, in the code? Do you have, like, the paragraphs and sections?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
City property explicitly does not include the street. So the street outside of the historic district and outside of this part of the code means the whole of the right-of-way. In this part of the code, it means the space between the curbs and does not include the sidewalk, which is city property, rather than the street. But outside of the historic district, you can ride on any city property unless it explicitly says you can't. Also, don't ride your bike when there is an event in Carroll Park. So, that said, some facts that I wasn't able to get in here because of a lack of time. People ride on sidewalks for very good reasons. But what's funny is it's about the perception of safety. Research has found that riding on a sidewalk is actually more dangerous because of the amount of conflict points. So there's all of the, so basically you are riding a lot faster than someone who is turning a vehicle expects someone to be walking. And so you end up with that issue. There's also the issue of a lot more crashes between the rider and someone on foot. That's a problem, obviously. But that is another issue that has to be said. Research on the subject of how people on foot see people on bike when they're on a sidewalk, the most risk averse want about 1.5 meters of space based upon research from China. And so basically 4.5 feet of clear distance. So if you do have that space, then you should give that space. If you don't have that space, then you really should be walking your bike, even in a place where it's outside of the historic district. Ultimately, in those kinds of a situation, you are not the most vulnerable road user. So there's a difference between what you can do and what you really ought to do. That said, if we see a lot of people that are riding bikes, that means, or who are riding bikes on sidewalks, that means that they also don't view the road as terribly safe, and they want to see something that is safe. Research has also found that as you provide better protected bike lanes or something similar, then you see a lot less sidewalk riding, with the exception of people that are salmoning. So if you're salmoning, that means that you're going against traffic flow, which is not great. Generally speaking, that's why when we have a one-way, why we try to do a two-way bike lane rather than a one-way bike lane. But if we ever did deploy it on a one-way street, and I don't believe that we have yet, then we'll need to figure out if that's something that we would want to do or not. There are safety issues with this too. Again, there is an issue of the feeling of safety, which is not the same as the actual safety with bike lanes like this. That's where we are. So there is, so are there any questions?
In raising this topic, what is our charge as a committee?
So I believe it was Phil that raised the issue originally, just to better understand what these rules are. I think that as an active mobility committee, there would be issues of, are there places in the code that you would advise some changes in? For instance, does it make sense in your minds to keep Carroll Creek only for bicyclists? Is there a need to change this small section where you're not allowed to ride? Are there other places where you don't think that cyclists should be allowed to ride on a sidewalk? Should there be something that's more explicit somewhere else? That sort of thing. We can certainly revisit this. If you want to have a broader view of how other jurisdictions handle it, I'd be happy to pull that.
I have a question. You brought up that we're putting in more two-way bike lanes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when it comes to design, will we be seeing more? I know it's on 9th, where the bike lane comes up to the crosswalk, right, and it opens up across the whole in front of the cars.
Right.
Will we be seeing more of that to make it safer for bicyclists to cross when they need to?
That would depend on the intersection. So there are a few options for how to do intersection designs well for cyclists. There's what's called the free right turn, which is sometimes called a protected intersection, but it was not designed to be that way. Instead, it was designed to be a free right turn. It is a Dutch design. But that essentially, if you want to turn left, you have to go across the intersection and then across the intersection and then go left, rather than getting into a left turn lane. But you have a barrier between you and the cars on your left. There's other treatments as well that have like a pocket on the right-hand side. So if there's a T intersection, then there might be a pocket for someone that's turning left down the T to be able to wait and then turn left once they have the green to go down that dead-end street. But the bike box is a useful kind of treatment in certain circumstances, especially where a bike lane ends, and you need to get the cyclists in front of drivers so that way they are visible and have a clear way to sort of start moving. That would be another, going through the various treatments that could be in our toolbox would be another thing entirely. But NACTO has all of that online for free, so you can take a look yourself if you want to. And that's NACTO.
So I think the most glaring omission from the code is e-bikes. It addresses non-motorized vehicles and it addresses bicycles, but e-bikes are so prolific now and becoming more and more prolific. So that's probably worth diving into, and as Councilwoman said, not my problem, hopefully.
No, I did not say that.
I'm sorry.
It's always all of our problems.
Yes. But I think that's worth evaluating is what needs to be included for that. I also think there's some contradictory language in there that's worth updating around Carroll Creek, the historic district. I also think defining it as the historic district is probably what's in the historic district overlay. If you flip back to that map, how do you enforce the one property southeast of the creek on what is that, Highland? No, exactly. Yeah, there's and so maybe through David's excellent GIS skills, looking at the density of and where traffic is, it's okay, east to Bent's, south to 7th, or working to propose something that can be enforced easier than the historic district. It can be communicated better to the public. It can be communicated better to police and to citizens instead of the historic district.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, David, yes, I would be interested in advising, updating pretty much all of the things you said, I think, and further discussing how we could, propose specific language or whatever is useful to, council, I think.
I think what would be most useful is not necessarily like working on precise language, but saying, what is it we're trying to achieve? And then, you know, the legal department, all that can work through all that. But yeah, like, what are your goals?
I think this would be good fodder for our planned strategic discussion session. Do we have a date for that yet?
Not yet,
Okay,
but we will soon.
great. Any other comments on this topic? Moving on to our fiscal 2027 project priorities discussion.
Yes. So, we are still working on exactly everything that we need. But I did want to say that I pulled together most of the costs into a draft spreadsheet. Right now, we have roughly $24 million worth of funds to either allocate or that could be unlocked or utilized. So I realize this is a lot. Just a moment. Yeah. So, for instance, if we wanted to, so if you wanted to, let's say, propose that we fund the construction for all of the North Branch Trail at once, that would be a roughly $3.8 million project. That said, right now there's 500,000 that's currently being asked for, which would fund these 4 segments and actually get some stuff built. The directionality of it is, given that I believe after going through things, there's roughly $5 million or so that could theoretically be allocated or used as a prioritization budget, at least. So if this is the thing that you really want to like do, then that would be what you would do, and then you have a little bit left over. East Street Rails with Trails Phase 2. That's going from 8th Street north to just south of the 26 interchange. To actually build it is $3.3 million or so right now. We're currently finishing up 100% design on that, and this is something that I know that the project lead on that, who is Bob Barrick, is interested in seeking funding to do. Same with his other East Street Rails with Trails project, which is our Phase 4. He's looking, though, to do 100% design. So $350,000 is what he's seeking there to add in, and $1 million is what we think right now would be to actually build that segment, et cetera. There's also a number of smaller things. So for instance, we have these bits. So the North Market Lane, the Village Trail, reactive lighting, these things, we need to provide 20% match to unlock the grant funding. Now we have this funding in our CIP right now, but to top it back up, then that would be the amount to add in. I should also note that we have 2 sidewalk projects in our CIP. If you don't know, CIP is essentially what's our capital improvement projects list. That's everything from sewage to road repaving, to water main issues, et cetera. We have done over 850,000 square feet or so of sidewalk work in 2020 or in fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026. We're about 3,000 square feet. The reason why it's square feet is because our sidewalks are between 12 feet and like 4 feet, and so understanding how much how much concrete is paved is useful. The EEA sidewalk, these are the areas so these are the repairs that are being done to sidewalks that are within our equity emphasis areas. Equity emphasis areas are the parts of the city the census tracts that have a higher level of poverty, lower incomes generally, or are some combination of that plus other measures of disadvantage. So in this fiscal year, they have $1 million just for this, but next fiscal year, they will be asking for an extra $500,000 on top of that because the program is being extended to seniors that own homes. At the moment, to maintain a sidewalk, that is the responsibility of the property owner, and this would essentially say, we'll take that off your plate. Sidewalk development and retrofit, that's essentially sidewalk expansion, and the rest of the other parts of the city. So this is the sort of thing where rather than allocating funds yourself, because these are things that are going to be ongoing programs and operational funds, these would be things for you to add your own voice and say that this is something that you do want to see, or choose not to because you don't feel as though it's necessary or fits with what you think works for your mandate. So what's missing right now from this is the equity scoring, as well as making sure this is legible. And some of it still has to be vetted a little bit, but essentially this is what we have. If you add up all of the untapped grant funds and maximum useful new funds, it works out to $23.6 million. Is there any other information that you would like to see before I can finally present this report to you all next month?
Jimmy, can you say again the components that are missing? You said it was the
The equity scoring.
equity scoring. Mhm.
I would also like to add in a project description. So a few sentences saying what it is. Ideally, these would have one page each with a map for where it is. So that way you can see it all in context. Currently, in our hidden columns, we have the phases and what phase is this on, and when do we expect that phase to be finished, and when do we expect the overall project to be finished.
And when you say overall project to be finished, that's completion of construction,
We could
correct?
finally close the book on East Street Rails with Trails or something, yes.
Gotcha.
And also when it started, which for East Street Rails with Trails, that was 2013.
I would expect it would just be helpful, and maybe this goes in the notes, but that $541,000 for Willowdale. What is that expected to cover? 100% design, 30% design, like
Yeah.
that, just making it very clear, like this is
Right.
what we're doing with this money. And then, if you have any sort of construction estimates, having that list is like, we would need $4 million to get this constructed, or
Right.
that would probably be helpful. You may get me back here for that meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what I was trying to go for the maximum useful new funds would be saying, how much can this project absorb in fiscal year 27? And have that be meaningful. So if we want to get it done, but it's still at a feasibility study, then adding enough funding to build it wouldn't help, because we wouldn't be able to get to that phase until FY 28 or 29.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much for your work on this. It's
course.
really, really great. But I agree with John. That would be very useful
Yeah.
to have.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it really maybe just restating. I was thinking, just like even just a general type of what this money would be, I guess, even just a general, I guess phase,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. Anyway, thank
Okay.
you.
Lovely. Well, hopefully we can put a wrap on this relatively soon.
And remind us again, what's our timeline for when we need to get these priorities set to go into the budget discussion?
Well, so I think that having this done by February would be the best time, but of course, the sooner the better. It's just an issue of pulling this data together on top of some of the other stuff that we've had going on has been difficult. But it's also been very helpful to have it all come into a single dashboard. for
Sure.
us.
Great. Thank you, David.
Yeah, can I echo that? Thank you. I think I was the original ask for this, the analytics of this, and I think we've come a long way of just trying to gut check or blind vote these priorities of actually seeing what the dollars can go to and where we can advocate for the most effective use of it is a huge step. So thank you for it's not easy and it's a lot of information. So thank you.
Of course. I should note also that this is going to go into some of the other reports that I'm doing and some of the other feedback that I'll be providing to people internally as well, to make sure that we end up with having essentially a dashboard that we can show all of the stakeholders, not just you all. So thanks for the pressing.
Anytime. Now for the highlight of this evening's proceedings. We had asked Mayor O'Connor to come join us this evening so that we could pay tribute to our very esteemed outgoing council member, Kelly Russell, who has devoted many, many years, countless hours of energy, passion, dedication to the cause of sustainable transportation in Frederick. Mayor O'Connor, would you like to say some words? And of course, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
This is the roast, right? I would say that the council member and I have had the opportunity to work together for 16 years. We came into office at the same time, and almost from day one found tremendous alignment on a lot of the things that we wanted to achieve. And so from that perspective, I would say in politics sometimes it's difficult to actually find people that you can be friends with doing this work. There's certainly people that you are collegial with and that you work well with. But almost from day one, we found so much alignment that I think genuine friendship and respect emerged as a result of that. And so it's been fantastic to have her as a colleague for 8 years and then working on the board and the council for the last 8 years. And it's a voice personally that I will miss. I am also not so, we're all replaceable. Everybody's voice matters ultimately in this process. And so I'm a big believer that no one's voice is more important than anyone else's. There are certainly people who have bigger megaphones in doing this work than others, and certainly more responsibility when it comes to execution and decision making. But if we're doing the process right, we're doing the best we can to hear as many different voices in the process as we can. And you do that recognizing that at the end of the day, you're going to make some portion of the population unhappy with the decisions that you make, because it would not be possible to keep 85,000 residents and 4,000 businesses and every person that visits the city on an annual basis happy 100% of the time. And so for me, alignment also comes from sort of recognition of what it is that you can accomplish and how you can go about doing it. And when it comes to the work that this particular committee does, also from effectively day one of the council member's time in office she's been a tireless advocate for the work that this committee does, up to and including largely the creation of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and ultimately it's transitioned into an Active Mobility Advisory Committee. And that's just seeing a vision of something that's possible and just doggedly pursuing it over a long time of being in office. And where we were when we started in 2009 to where we are now, on the verge of another transition in 2025, we've come light years in our thoughts and perspectives about bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure in the city of Frederick. And I don't think that it's overstating it to say that if Councilmember Russell wasn't a part of those conversations since 2009, whatever you think about the progress that we have made and whether you think it's gone far enough, and I think even she would agree, it would be wonderful to have gone twice as far or 5 times or 10 times as far as we've gone. We've gotten as far as we have because we've had someone who's been a passionate advocate every day for the work that you all do. And so my only hope for everything that we do in the city of Frederick is that we have people who are as passionate about whatever their issue is as Councilmember Russell has been passionate about bicycle and pedestrian world building here in the city of Frederick. And so I'm going to miss that advocacy. But if you're like me, I know where she lives, and I have her number on speed dial. And when I'm having a challenge in trying to figure out how to unknot a problem, she's not going to be very far away when I need to bounce an idea off someone, because I couldn't have done what I've done for the last 8 years or for the 8 years prior to that without having somebody that I knew that I could trust and have honest, frank, sometimes by outward appearances, people might say hostile conversations, but it's honest. It's honesty and it's honest respect, and I'm going to miss that, but I'm going to figure out ways to make sure that I don't miss it. So that's what I would say, and thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak to those of you who have worked with her, virtually for almost every one of those 16 years. Alyssa, perhaps, Glenn, maybe not directly in this capacity, and others who've just discovered what her presence has meant to the city of Frederick in just the last few months or the last few years of your time here with this committee. So I appreciate very much your service. I think they've said this to all of you during the interview process. We can't do what we do as a city without you all doing what you do as volunteers in these roles, and your perspective and expertise and point of view is absolutely critical to us being able to accomplish what we want to do as a city. So thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to embarrass my friend.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I honestly don't know what this committee is going to be like without you. And so that whole speed dial number thing, don't be surprised if you get some random messages. And please do take the banner. I hope it makes an appearance at your Frederick social event. I think it would be a nice centerpiece. We could have a little photo booth. People could bring props, take some pictures in front of the banner before it gets retired to your she shed or wherever you want to put it up. Hang it from your porch. That would be great.
Wear it as a cape.
That too. It's going to be cold. Does anybody else want to share a couple thoughts? I know there's a lot of new faces to the committee, but like I said, I wouldn't be here without Councilmember Russell. So thank you very, very much. And we won't make you make a speech unless you want to.
You rendered me speechless.
Well, yeah, I'll just say thank you. Yeah, I mean, you've done a great job. Any questions I've had, I feel like you've answered immediate or quicker than I've expected from anything else. And also, I'll second the cape.
Yeah, outside of being our council member, you serve as the historian, and our police representative. The amount of times we've dove into laws and stuff, yes, of countless times where the committee's gonna need the police officer that's assigned to represent and communicate with us here more often. And that's like the smallest part of what you've contributed to this committee, but we'll have to replace with a full police officer here just to answer those questions. And again, there's so much more that we're gonna miss. So.
Moving on. Okay, moving on to committee announcements or comments. I actually want to bring up something that Councilmember Russell had emailed to the committee. It didn't make it onto the agenda for discussion this evening, but messages the proposal to add a standing agenda item for reports on the Adopt a Stop sponsored bike stop, or bus stops rather. Just a quick check-in to make sure we are holding up to our end of the bargain. Councilmember Russell noted passing by it and wanted to make sure the AMAC carries on in your absence. So I think that's something we can probably discuss for next month's meeting, setting up a regular schedule. Also on the topic of bus stops, I received an email from Shane Boucher, who is, I believe, chair of the county BPAC. He is inviting us, excited to announce that the county BPAC is adopting a bus stop. The step was inspired by the leadership, and I can't read through my microphone, an example set by the City of Frederick AMAC. They would be honored to have us to join in their celebration. Our partnership has been instrumental in making Frederick County a more bicycle and pedestrian-friendly region, and this event is a testament to what we all can accomplish when we work together. So to add to your calendars, the celebration is Thursday, December 11th. Time is 2 p.m. And the location is East Street at Peters Lane, the bus stop on the same side as the pump track. The celebration will include brief remarks, a certificate presentation, and a photo opportunity, hopefully with a bus in the background. See if Jamie McKay can make it there as well. So warm regards, Shane Boucher. I will check my calendar, make sure I don't have any meetings scheduled, and plan to be there. I'm not going to be the one to cut anything with giant scissors, though, because it's not my bag. But hopefully everybody else can make it as well. Yes, David.
I did want to add that in light of John's departure, there will be an open seat. In case you are interested in applying.
Any other committee announcements or comments?
I have a small comment. I read through the pamphlets. I don't know what the right word is that we got last month. The brochures, yeah, and so small. The address for Heritage Frederick was wrong. It was 4 instead of 24. So,
thank you. All right, and I should note that also we are going to be looking fresh at whether it's appropriate to include private homes in either of the tours. So that's why they haven't been printed yet. And also, we found the author, finally, of the walking tour. It was done in 2014. And her name has suddenly escaped me already. But she was a UMD student back in 2014. And she since went on to get a master's in historic preservation and architecture. That is, I can't find where she works now, but she lives in the area.
It's great.
Yes, Abby. Yes, Abby Tesfaye Parata.
Excellent.
There's a YouTube video.
Yes, a Frederick News Post video. I can share it with the committee.
Great. I did think of one other announcement. Typically, we do announce that the Frederick Holiday Bicycle Lights Ride, presented by Bike Dr. Frederick, is Saturday, December 20th at 6 p.m. It is a fundraiser for Hartley House, and it will be starting at the Baker Park Band Shell. So come with your bikes decorated, yourselves decorated, any taggers on, hangers on, etc.
They accept,
Hopefully it won't be too cold.
yeah, and they accept donations. They prefer gift cards, but they'll take other items. It's all on the Facebook and their website.
On Facebook, yes.
I have a couple of things. All that, it's been an honor and great stuff and all that stuff. But I just wanted to let you know about a couple of things. First of all, on Friday at Frederick Social, anytime after 4 o'clock, stop by. I'm having a retirement celebration where we will display said banner, now that you've brought that up. But the other piece of really exciting news occurred today, and the county has put out a press release, but one of the things we've been working with very closely is the county's transit bus system, because we know that's very important transportation for our city residents. It's been fare-free since the pandemic, thanks to some federal funding, which will expire in June of '26. So I've been working collaboratively, which is how you're supposed to do it, with our county council members and our county executive. And we found a way to sustain funding so that transit will remain fare-free into the future. And the county executive will be is introducing through Vice President Duckett and Councilmember Knapp a piece of legislation that will permanently, as long as legislation lasts, allocate a percentage of the recordation tax, which is a tax that occurs anytime there's a real estate transaction, a purchase, or refinance. A portion of that will be dedicated to transit. It will cover the cost of keeping transit fare-free, and also hopefully a little bit more. It'll free up some funding within transit to make more improvements to ADA, bus shelters, service improvements, all of those things. So we've been able to unlock this, and it'll be working its way through the process, and hopefully, if all goes well, it will pass the county council sometime in March. But that's just been something we've been working on, recordation tax fairness, and we've been working on figuring out how to do that. And so today was the big announcement, and I'm just really proud of that partnership, because it's so meaningful, I think, for over 90% of the transit riders are city residents. All transit routes start and end here in Frederick. So it's a really important step, and I'm glad to be a part of that. But this baby I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss all of you. Carry on the good work. You've been amazing. The committee doesn't happen without all of you. So I've just been privileged to be a part of shepherding it, but you guys are doing the work. So thank you. It's been my real honor.
Any other committee announcements or comments? Moving on to public comment. Please go ahead. Yes, please, and introduce yourself.
Eric Jones, is it working? Private citizen. Councilmember Russell, thank you for your service. And I know my dog appreciates all the treats at your house. It's a regular stop for him most mornings. So I live really close to Fairview and 7th Street there, and so I have some personal experience at that intersection and most of the intersections generally around here. This one is, I assume the hardware is relatively old. I don't think it's been updated with how the traffic's being managed there, but it is a fairly, there's a decent amount of traffic considering it's going through a neighborhood. Fairview's a connector, across the city, especially if 15's backing up, whatnot. And then, of course, 7th Street being, the hospital and the on-ramp to 15. I don't know, like, I'm sure there's terminology for how the light's designed with the crosswalks. Like, there are walk indicators at this, intersection. And they are timed, to cross 7th Street. They will activate to cross 7th Street when traffic is allowed to also cross 7th Street. So it's not like there's a full stop and any button pushes, people can cross. It's, you get a walk, but yet the drivers are given a green light. And I would say at least half of the drivers coming south are either turning, right or left. See, there's the hospital, the other, and then maybe the other half are carrying through Fairview. So I don't know. So with that being said, and yes, the lighting, I believe that. I've seen it. I know I've warned my children, and my neighbors have warned their children to be careful at this intersection because people won't see, if you're trying to cross, if you're walking out into that street, you just assume, oh, I have a cross, I can just step out and not have a problem, but it's a false sense of security there, and especially with the amount of traffic on here. So I don't know if there's, I wish there was a hit list of, intersections that could be reevaluated for, is this appropriately programmed for what we want, this to operate in our city? Or is this, at one point, 30 years ago, their priority might not have been people crossing the street there. But I don't think that's a priority now. So that was my comment. Thank you.
Eric, thank you very much. Shraddha, can you give us some insights on what goes into programming how the lights interact with the ped heads and what would be involved in reconfiguring the intersection so that it's a dedicated walk versus a walk with a green light?
So in terms of programming, we on the back end, we have a grid. We put in how much green, yellow, and red time needs to be provided for each approach. And those typically would need to get, we run the entire signal along with traffic volumes through software to make sure that it's optimized to the best extent, and we are able to put in a few things like you have to put in at least 10 seconds for pedestrians to walk and then followed by 5 seconds of warning or something of that sort. So there are some assumptions that go behind it. It does involve getting actual traffic counts for it to be optimized the best way possible. However, whenever a resident puts in a request, we typically do go out and look at what's very obviously not working. There are some things that we can do without needing to collect all the traffic data. We very recently did some changes on Monocacy and Mill Pond Road. Twice, actually. We've done it in the past 2 years, and those were just based on resident complaints and observations that we are still able to do some minor tweaks that help the traffic flow. 7th and Fairview, from what Eric mentioned, seems like something that can be relatively easily fixed with observations. That being said, 7th Street, the entire from Military to East is going to get reevaluated as a part of the design. We are hopefully getting the consultants on board soon, and once they're doing that, the entire evaluation will start. So each signal will get evaluated, as well as I think we are looking at how to automate the entire corridor or coordinate the entire corridor, so that it's similar to how Bent Street works right now. So I don't think we'll put in extra money to get traffic volumes, given that we will do that anyway in the next 6 months. But if you can put in this traffic complaint safety concern, we can definitely go do a site visit and see if there are minor tweaks that can fix some of the very obvious issues that might come up.
One quick follow-up. Does aggregated crash data ever factor into reevaluating the timing on traffic signals?
not individual intersections the way we do it internally with our signal department. However, when projects like 7th Street Corridor comes up, yes, they do all get accounted for.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none. Thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you again, Councilmember Russell. I will see you on Friday. And everybody have a great Christmas. See you in January. Meeting is adjourned.